Hey, welcome back to the Big Red Zone. We are very excited for today's show. Remember, new episodes come out every Wednesday. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the like button on this video as well as all our other videos. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Big Red Zone. And tell a friend. This week, it's our Super Bowl preview week. We're going to break down the two teams in this game, Bengals, Rams. We're going to say who we think is going to win. We also have Celtics. The NBA is coming up with their All-Star week, which means we're about halfway through the season, a little over halfway. And that means the trade deadline is coming up. So we're going to break down Celtics possible trades, who we want to see, what we think they should do, and so much more. This is the Big Red Zone. Welcome to the podcast. This is the Big Red Zone. I'm your host, Big Red. As always, I am joined by Danny Football.
What's going on, Big Red? How we doing?
I'll be honest. I've been better. Played a little Sunday morning basketball. I don't know if it's age or can't play this early in the cold anymore, but my back is pretty messed up right now. So it's gonna be like a Jordan flu game right now.
I was gonna say, so
Jordan
the listeners at home know Big Red is battling through the pain for you right now. This is the stuff of legends. He's hobbling out of the tunnel. God knows what kind of shots he just got, but he's gonna do it.
Yeah, it's all kinds of painkillers just lodged into my lower back so I can sit through this. It's not. No, I had to take the day off from work. It's not. Take the day off from work, but I am here today for you people, for the listeners. You're welcome. It's not doing so hot right now. I'm hoping, a day of rest will do me good so I can get back out there tomorrow. Big game, coaching game tomorrow.
There we go.
Coaches Against Cancer night at the high school. So we donate. It's a fundraiser for cancer research, which is always a great game each year. It raises a lot of money and great cause. Also, crosstown rivals are coming into town, so that will be a fun game. We got the win in double overtime last time we played them, so
clean it up in regulation this time.
And if I can find some wood here, right? If I'm knocking on it. I've never in my coaching career of freshman basketball, I've never lost to this team.
Wow.
Never lost. And every game has gone to OT or come down to the last shot.
Look at that.
It's just, I don't know, but try to continue the streak, knock on wood, and we're hopefully continue that. How about you, Danny Football? How's the week after a championship treating you?
We actually celebrated last night. We had a bye week. They were gracious enough to give us the week off. So, popped a couple bottles. We were having some fun, played some FIFA. We were celebrating, my man. We were definitely celebrating the chip. But now the question is, can we run it back, or are we going to have a championship hangover? But we'll see what we can do. We're going to, we got the whole team back. No one's leaving. Remains to be seen if we're going to add anyone, but I like our chances of going back to back. We're going to pull this off.
No off season for the champions.
No rest for the weary, dude. I was surprised. Usually there's usually we're not in the playoffs. There's usually a week break for playoffs, but we made playoffs and won it. So that was supposed to be the week off in between sessions. So now we just kind of rolled into the next one.
It's tough being champions.
It's hard. Hey, no one ever said it was easy. No one ever said it was easy.
Hey, someone's got to do it, and why not you?
Someone's got to do it. Might as well be us. But yeah, it was a good weekend. Celebrated that. I think that was really it. It was kind of a lazy weekend. Got the snow, so I do want to give a shout out to my boy Kevin Curley out in California playing some semi-pro ball. He's coming down to it. Only has a couple games left. He's finishing the season or I shouldn't say finishing the season, but right now he's rocking a 2.10 ERA, 13 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts. So just a quick shout out to my boy out in Palm Springs getting the work done.
I love it. Do they have playoffs?
They do have playoffs. So it's kind of it's like a showcase league. He's trying to get signed. So
gotcha.
I told him, I'm like, dude, you gotta put on and get that contract and get me those luxury seats at a stadium once you're good to go.
I know. I keep telling Dave Griffin the same thing. When are we gonna get up? Shout out Dave Griffin. When are we gonna get to
Well, Dave Griffin set the roadmap for.
He did. He's a legend. He's gonna be starting one of the starting five for the Mets pretty soon. But speaking of champions, we're gonna have one in less than a week. It's Pro Bowl ended yesterday. We had a little Mac Jones fun. The Pro Bowl really is a waste of time, but it's good to see Mac having fun, dancing around. Actually got to see him throw to a top wide receiver in the league, which is, always nice. By the way, we could have had Hunter Renfrow in that draft. Thanks, N'Keal Harry and Bill Belichick.
Jeez.
But the positives here, we're going to preview the Super Bowl, Rams versus Bengals. The first thing I have in my notes here for this game, I'd have to look back because I don't know this for sure. I don't know when the last time, but I know it's been a while. But this has to be the most liked Super Bowl in a long time. Like both teams, I mean, unless you're from Cincinnati, unless you're from LA and rooting hardcore for your team, I don't think anyone's disappointed with who wins in this game. That's your team. Like, I think it's two well-liked teams. It's fresh blood. Someone's going to get their first ring. Some people are going to get their second ring, but some people could get their second ring, I should say. But a lot of people are going to get their first Super Bowl ring in their careers. And the two faces of it are Matt Stafford and Joey Burrow. And I think we can both agree on this, that they are, I really don't care. I'm not going to be disappointed who wins this game.
I agree. I don't think there's a quote unquote villain in this game. There's not really like as much as we love Tom Brady, there's not like a Tom Brady that people, oh, I don't want to see him win again. Or Patrick
Chiefs.
There's not like a Patrick Mahomes or the Colts of like the old Peyton Manning Colts or the Peyton Manning Broncos where we didn't want them to win, or even like, the Legion of Boom had a cup of coffee and a couple Super Bowls, and they were just kind of a smash mouth team that you either rooted for them or you're against them. So I agree that you look at the Bengals, there's not a single person on that team that you can really point towards and say, I don't want them to win. Joe Burrow's been nails the entire season. He's a young kid, second year, coming off the ACL injury. He could be the first player to ever do the Heisman National Championship and Super Bowl. So you have all those storylines on the Bengals side. And then you look at the Rams and you talk about the Legion of Boom. This is a Rams team that they lose that Super Bowl to the Patriots, and people kind of think that their window closes, and they just continue to go all in. They bring in Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller. They bring in OBJ. They trade for Matthew Stafford. They give up on their guy Jared Goff, and they're back. They kind of claw their way back up to the pinnacle of the NFL, and it's kind of a redemption story. Can the Rams finish the job this time? Can they get that Super Bowl that they honestly should have gotten against the Patriots? But like you said last week, Sean McVay was a little starstruck against Bill Belichick that first time. So there are good storylines on both sides. There's no one really hateable. And as a Patriots fan on the outside looking in, I'm going to sleep just fine knowing that no one I really disdain is getting a chip out of this.
Yeah. And the thing about the Rams that I would say, and I'm going to talk about my pick for the Super Bowl, which is the Rams. The reason I like them is they have been adding this entire year. Remember, Von Miller was a trade deadline acquisition for the Rams. They added Sony Michel right before the season started, which was huge after Cam Akers went out. They, like you said, they got their quarterback. Jared Goff wasn't doing it, so they went out and got Matt Stafford. They added Jalen Ramsey a couple years ago. They've got OBJ midseason. This team has been constantly worked on throughout the entire year. And if there's any time for the Rams to win a Super Bowl, it's this year. They just got so many veterans. They got so many people that, have been with the team for a long time or in the league for a long time. And I think that's why I'm rooting for the Rams in this game. And I think they're going to win. is because they got a lot of guys that they know when they're looking at their time clock, this is probably one of their last chances, if not the last chance for them to win a Super Bowl ring. Uh, Aaron Donald, who's like been with the Rams since the beginning, Cup since he's the beginning. We don't talk about him because he's injured, but Robert Woods, I'm rooting for them to get a ring for that guy. Wayne Wentworth or Wentworth or whatever the O lineman, his time is definitely ending. So my pick is for the Super Bowl is the Rams. And the reason I think that one of the main reasons I think they have a good shot at this is one, veteran led teams. I just trust more than young rookie teams. Rookie teams get in the moment. I'm not saying Joe Burrow because Joey Burrow looks nails in every big moment he has been tested with. But you know what? Sometimes it happens, and on the biggest stage in the world at the Super Bowl, in big moments, can they respond? And I think veteran tested players do better in that spot. So that's my first point for them. Why I think they're going to win is just better, more veteran leadership on the team. I think their defense is way better than the Bengals. Pass rush is going to be unbelievable with that O line. They're going to be able to cut through it. And Von Miller and Aaron Donald are going to have a field day on Joe Burrow if they can contain him in the pocket. And I think this is a big game for Sean McVay. I mean, he's learned from the past. Hopefully, it's a big redemption game. He blew it in that game. He almost blew it last week or 2 weeks ago. And I think he's learning, and this is a big game for him because if he wins this, he kind of he's in the club. He's in the Super Bowl club. And if he loses, he just proved he can't win a Super Bowl. So high stakes for them. I think all the pressure is on the Rams. And I think with that veteran leadership, they're going to be able to pull that through.
You bring up a good point with the veteran thing. And we saw it with the 49ers in their Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo, that was a younger team and the lights were just too bright. Not to say that Patrick Mahomes was a veteran by any means, but lights were on bright and you got to see who kind of performed the best. And that's going to be a question for the Bengals. Will they be able to, will all these young guys, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, be able to step up and get the job done? While Matt Stafford's on the other sideline 13 years into his career, he's seen it all. He's literally seen it all. Robert Woods, like you said, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Von Miller's already won one. So they do have the experience factor, and it's going to be a question of, who's the most prepared. I'm picking the Bengals just because I think as good as the Rams defense is, I think the Bengals offense is explosive enough that they're going to be able to put up points. I think Jamar Chase is going to have a big day. I think Joe Burrow is going to have a big day. I think this is going to be a shootout, and I think it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last. And, that's just how it's going to end. It's going to come down to whoever scores last. That's it. I don't think it's going to be a blow up by any means. I think it's going to be high scoring. The Rams have the edge with the defense, but again, I think if the Bengals play their type of football, they'll be able to score. So that's why I lean more towards the Bengals. You make a lot of good points, but it just seems like it's their year, man. To knock off the Chiefs and have all this confidence. I don't want to say the Rams had an easy path to the Super Bowl, but the Packers get eliminated, the Tampa Bay Bucks get eliminated. You didn't have to play either one of them. I shouldn't say that. You didn't have to play either one of them, but you didn't have to play both of them to get there. Whereas the Bengals kind of went through the ringer. They had to play the Titans with a fresh Derrick Henry. Was he 100%? No, but he came back for the game, and you have to account for that. So I think considering their road and considering the players on the team, I have to ride with the Bengals on this one.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say that the Rams weren't battle tested because I think I remember they had to play. I mean, they both play. Yeah, they played, and I guess they're both battle tested because they all played wild card weekend. Bengals, I give them credit. This is one thing that makes me nervous is like with the veteran. I argue with the veteran leadership. Every week the Bengals have been in a close game. They've had to win 3 straight close games. The Raiders game was a dogfight. The Titans game was a dogfight, and they came back and beat the Chiefs in a close game too. Uh, I think the Rams just blew out the Cardinals, which we argued, the Cardinals kind of gave up in the end of that year, but the Cardinals is still a good team. They did beat the Bucks, which is like that was a Super Bowl favorite. And while they didn't have to play the Packers, they did play the 49ers, which came on strong at the end of the season. So, and that was a close game as well. So, I mean, they've both been Bengals have had 3 close games, Rams have had 2. I think they are battle tested, and I think you're right. Super Bowl experience does help, and the Rams have that. And I mean, Von Miller knows what it's like to win a Super Bowl. He knows what it's like to lose a Super Bowl. Sony Michel knows what it's like to win a Super Bowl. And I think in the Super Bowl, you have ups and downs. How you got to be able to battle through adversity. You got to be able to pile on and keep going when things are going good. And the Rams have that, and the Bengals don't. I'm not saying that. Like I believe in Joey Burrow. That's the only reason I think it's Bengals are going to be in this game. But I think the veteran leadership is going to help them. The thing that could cost this team, the Rams, their one thing is Sean McVay. I guess I'll give it 2 things. Sean McVay, is he going to make a bad coaching decision, which he's done last week? He was like, he tumbled over every coffee table imaginable in that second half. Like he literally, between the wasting a timeout, making a bad challenge, wasting your second timeout, and then using your last timeout on something that I think they had to call a timeout. Use their last timeout when it was like the clock was expiring. They went in down into the last 5 minutes with no timeouts, and that's not good. And we saw in the last Super Bowl he was in, he made a lot of bad decisions. So that's, I think, one obstacle they're going to face is Sean McVay going to be on his game and not like get blinded by the bright lights, or is he going to learn from his mistakes and try to, learn from them and make better decisions? The other thing is Matt Stafford has been this year throwing a lot of picks. Is he going to throw a lot of bad interceptions? He's been throwing a bunch of pick sixes, and those things can't happen in the Super Bowl. So, hopefully Matt Stafford, I believe in him, and I think he's going to have a great game. But he's got to limit the amount of mistakes and turnovers, and Sean McVay's got to, limit his mistakes and call a good game. So, I agree. This is going to be a close game in my eyes. I don't know if it's going to be as high scoring as I'm kind of thinking, because both offenses are explosive. But I'm guessing somewhere in the 20s, this game is going to finish. I'll give a score prediction later, but I think it's going to be in the 20s. What are your thoughts on what do you think is the possible limitations of this Bengals team?
I'd say the offensive line is probably the most glaring. You got to keep your guy up. You got to keep your guy upright. And sicking Aaron Donald and Von Miller, that's going to be a tall task, man. Those are 2 absolute beasts coming for your quarterback. If they can keep Joe Burrow on his feet, I give him a great chance to win, but it's possible, if the offensive line becomes Swiss cheese and Joe Burrow's getting sacked 10 times, you're not going to win a football game doing that. So I'd say offensive line is definitely my biggest concern with this Bengals team. Defense, again, not as good as the Rams, but I think it's serviceable that it's playoff football. Things are going to be more tight knit. You're not going to take as many risks. Both as the head coach, DC, OC, you're not going to take as many risks. You want to minimize mistakes. But Joe Burrow has just had it this season. Joe Mixon's really put it together. Jamar Chase is arguably rookie of the year. I think if this offensive line can stand up and do their job, I really do think the Bengals have a shot, but that's definitely their weakest point.
I agree. I think that's why I give the edge to the Rams is the O-line. I think Aaron Donald and Von Miller can have a field day on this. But again, Joey Joey B was shown that he can get out of the pocket and run. They got to contain him. So I agree. This is going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to it a lot. And like I said, if the Bengals win this game, I'm not going to be disappointed because I'm happy to see Joey Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, all those guys get their first ring, and it's going to be well deserved. So let's make our final picks and let's lock in our picks and maybe a score prediction for this game. Day football, who are you going with? Super Bowl. Are you sticking with your Bengals pick, which I think you are? I think you said that already, but
yep,
sticking with the Bengals. What do you think on the score? What do you think is a good score for? Help me out because you got to do. Well, I guess I shouldn't. I guess I shouldn't say it, but we got to do our numbers game for the Super Bowl. If you know what I mean. Squares.
In my head, I have 31-28.
I really like that. That's a good
31-28.
I think that's a very good
which for Super Bowl standards, I think that's a good like output.
What do you mean?
In terms of points.
Oh yeah, I think that's pretty good. That's right around where I was thinking. I was thinking that it was going to be like it's going to be a one-score game. Oh man. I'll say 27-24. Does that make sense? No. I'm gonna say 27-21.
All right.
27-21. Gonna come down to the end.
6
Rams
points separate them.
Yeah. What's the spread? Do you know the spread in this game?
I can check.
I was gonna say it comes down to a field goal, but
I don't know if it'll necessarily be. I don't think it's gonna be like a. I mean, for all I know, it could be a game-winning field goal, but I think it'll be. I think it's gonna be a case where I think the Rams hop out early and the Bengals just kind of chip away, and then I don't think the Rams can kind of catch up. I think it's gonna be, 7-point swing. All of a sudden, the Bengals are up by a field goal, and the Rams just can't make up the ground to tie it.
yeah.
Rams are -4.5.
That's right. I was thinking it was over a field goal, but it was one possession game. Yeah, I think 6. Would it be something they go into overtime and they win off a walk-off field goal? I mean, a walk-off touchdown.
That would be crazy.
6 points.
That would be 6. That would count.
I would 6. It counts. What did I say? 26. What did I say?
27-21.
27-21. I like 28. Something stood out to me with 28. Before I was gonna go 28, like 28-21 or something like that. But I guess that's a touchdown. I don't know. Go with my original answer. Something about it. I like 28 standing out to me, Danny Football. I don't know when I went into this.
I honestly think the Rams score 4 clean touchdowns and that's it. 4 clean touchdowns. Bengals do the same, but they get that extra field goal.
Well, that's what that's what I think. I think the Rams are going to score 4 straight touchdowns. I just think the Bengals are going to get 3.
There we go.
All right. All right. So our scores are in, picks are in, and we'll have to see how we do. Like I said, I'm happy either way it goes. Can't go wrong with either Super Bowl champion. Talking about a longtime Super Bowl champion. Finally, he just loves to retire when we're done recording our podcast. Tom Brady announces official retirement from the NFL. Technically not, but we'll get to that later. He has a long Instagram post thanking the fans of Tampa, thanking Bruce Arians, thanking his teammates, thanking everyone in the front office. But there was one person he left out, or a couple people he left out. All of Patriots Nation.
He left out 6 entire states.
Yeah. So now that we'll start with now that he's officially retired, what's our feeling on this? Take out the part about we'll get to the fans part later, but now it's officially like the news is out. What's our initial thoughts after hearing the news?
Almost surreal. You never really think with Tom that that it's going to be over. Just with how often he talks about, I've got like 10 more years in me. I'm not going to stop until I suck. You know, constantly saying, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And then even if you look at how he was performing, he might win the MVP. Like there's every chance he's the MVP. And to walk away arguably on top is something I never thought he would do. Not to say that I thought he would go out, on like a 2-13 team or something like that, or a bad playoff loss or an injury, but I never expected that he'd walk away like this, especially with unfinished business. Like you're that close to the NFC Championship game, man. Like arguably could have ran it back. It's surreal. I don't think it's really going to set in until next season starts and he's not playing. And it's kind of a tough pill to swallow because this is really all we've known is an NFL with Tom Brady in it. And it's going to be, a different landscape with him gone. This changes a lot of things. Tampa's kind of going to fall back to the pack. The NFC opens up a little bit. The NFC opens up a little bit. And with the NFC opening up, that gives the AFC an opportunity to kind of jump on it. So there's a power shift happening, and it comes at the cost of, not being able to see Tom Brady play football anymore.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, we'll never see another Tom Brady. And the fact that we got the privilege of watching him play for over 20 years, pretty much our whole football watching lives, we've got to see Tom Brady. It's pretty surreal to see him dunk because we haven't seen an NFL, like you said, like this. I'm sad to see him go. I'm happy I got to have all those years with him on my team, and I got to watch. I got to watch Tom Brady. People in the '90s got to watch Michael Jordan play. People in Chicago got to see Michael Jordan play. We're the same thing. We got to watch Tom Brady play, and he is the best. Like Bill Belichick said, he is the greatest football player to ever live. So that was my first thought. I think it's interesting what you said, and I didn't really think about this until you mentioned it. There is going to be a huge power shift now, I think. The NFC is going to be weak. It's going to be really bad because don't forget, there's a chance they're losing Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson. Because if those two get traded, they're going to the AFC. They're not going to stay in-house. So they could see 3 of the top 5 quarterbacks in their conference leave. So I think you're right. I didn't look at it like that. I never really thought about that. But the NFC, there's going to be a huge power shift to the AFC because the AFC just keeps getting stronger and stronger. So, but that was just interesting when I heard you say that. The thing that surprises me, and we can break this down, and I don't think I'm like sad about. I'm not like over here crying about it. I thought it was great word I heard someone say is odd or weird that he did not mention New England in his retirement post. He also never said he's retiring. He said he's stepping away, which I think that leaves the door for him to come back after a year. He said, I just don't want to compete at the level he has to work like every day, prepare every day of the year. And he said he didn't want to do that anymore. So to me, he never said retire. He said step away. So I think that leaves the door open for him to come back. I think he's done, but I wouldn't be surprised in a year from now if they said, all right, I'm back. I want to come play again. I'm ready to go after a year off. But I just heard of that rumor. But what are your feelings on him leaving out New England?
Definitely a wild move. I saw a lot of arguments being, he had the goodbye post when he left initially. And I don't want to be one of those people who takes it for completely takes Tom Brady for granted, because I am grateful. I mean, the dude spent 20 years here. He won 6 Super Bowls. He did everything he possibly could. And it's not like we traded him. Like he chose to leave. He could have stayed. He didn't want to stay. He made his choice. That was his choice. Whether he was forced out or not, I don't know. We may never know, but I was surprised he didn't mention anything about New England or Bill Belichick or Robert Kraft in his post. To me, it almost seemed like he made a point to include like Bucks, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, the Bucks owner, the Bucks players, the Bucks fans. That being said, maybe it's just because, hey, this is where I've been the last 2 seasons. I'm retiring here. Like, maybe that's just him giving Tampa Bay their due. But when you think of a retirement post, like you said, he did say stepping away. What that means is open to interpretation. But you'd think in a retirement post would be more of a encapsulate your entire career, and 98% of your career was spent here in New England. So I do understand he already said his goodbyes. Why should he have to say it again? I get that. But it did seem almost, it seemed like too much of a coincidence to just completely omit New England while glowingly reviewing Tampa Bay and saying, thank you for taking a chance on me, when I'd argue there was 31 teams in the NFL that would have gladly taken a chance on you, Tom.
Yeah.
So was it a calculated move on his part? Maybe. Was it out of spite? I don't know. Was it so that he could drum up more social media attention and then release the video that he released a couple days later that included a bunch of Patriot stuff? Maybe. I think he knew what he was doing. What the intent was, I'm not going to speculate on that. I was glad that Robert Kraft and the Patriots kind of just took the high road and said, thank you, Tom. No point in kind of making it bigger than it had to be. And he's going to get his number retired here. He's going to be back here. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame as a Patriot. Like, there are so many doomsday scenarios that people were bringing up that just are almost like a panic. Like, this isn't a huge issue, guys. Like, it's a couple slide pictures on Instagram. It's fine. Would I have liked him to have mentioned us? Absolutely. Like, I want to be included on that. Like, you were here for 20 years. You gave us all you had. It would be nice if you gave us a tip of the cap. But at the same time, like, he's going to be back at Gillette. He's going to get his number retired. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame. We're going to see him again. This isn't the end of Tom Brady in New England. He's said so much as so. So it was a big controversy, but I do think there was some sort of merit to it.
I think he totally, or his people, I don't know of him, but I think, and this is my thing, I think his whole retirement from a career that was perfect, an NFL career that was never going to be as close to perfect as it was, I think his retirement was a total fumble of the bag. It got leaked too early. Everyone came out and said, no, he's not retiring. It was like a Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire being in Spider-Man. Everyone had to lie. He had to get his dad and the Bucks people to lie and say, no, he's not retiring. He's not even close to being on retirement. 2 days later, he says, I'm done. He comes out with, instead of every great player, even say every great player in the NFL, face of the NFL, has retired with that. They've done a press conference, a video. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger just did a video with his family saying thank you to everyone, doing his video saying I'm announcing his retirement. I'm not saying anything's wrong with doing the Instagram post, but it seemed like it was planned. So I can't say like it wasn't like Tom Brady just started typing and then said,
right.
No,
that was definitely meticulously typed out, thought out, edited,
right,
looked over. Whether maybe he just kind of said some things and his team put it together, maybe. Or for all I know, he typed the entire thing. I don't know. But
I just feel like this has been total fumbled. Like he didn't thank the fans.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been kind of a crazy kind of situation with the stop and start, and then all of a sudden it's definitive.
Yeah. It also, like, it's sad because for such a great player and the best player to ever play the game, to use Bill Belichick's words, I feel like his should be like this. I feel like it didn't have to be this way. And to people, I'm not really upset with him not mentioning New England. He did plenty of stuff when he left. He did plenty of stuff when he came back here this year. Uh, and like you said, he's gonna be back. His number's gonna be retired. No one's gonna wear number 12.
No.
I know. I heard someone joke like they're gonna have an undrafted like quarterback come in next year, and Belichick's gonna have him be like his rookie practice jersey number. Like just put an undrafted quarterback at 12.
Jeez.
That won't happen. No one's gonna wear number 12 again in a Patriots uniform. They're gonna retire his number. They're gonna do something. So I'm not upset. I just think it's weird. And all the people are like, oh, he already did his goodbye post. I mean, did Peyton Manning thank the fans of Indianapolis when he retired? I equate that to the same thing. He made and if not more for Tom Brady, he made his name in New England. Peyton Manning named his name in Indy. He became the Super Bowl champion in Indy first. He spent most of his career there and then spent the last 3 years of his career in Denver. Same thing with Tom Brady. He made his name in New England. I just don't see how, Gretzky.
Yeah, my argument was Michael Jordan didn't thank the Wizards in the District of Columbia when he retired. He thanked Chicago. So
I thought he did thank Washington.
Well, I meant like, can you imagine if Michael Jordan, when he retired with the Wizards, went on Instagram?
Oh, no. I get what you're saying. I missed your point.
I love DC. The Wizards were great, and then didn't mention anything about Chicago. That would be nuts.
No, I missed your point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, I totally agree. That would be insane if he didn't. Michael Jordan didn't thank the Bulls. Like that would be crazy. And I don't think it's anything wrong with him thinking and being so glowing, even having a whole post about the Bucks. Like, no, he really
clearly loved Tampa Bay and loved those fans and loved that state. He very clearly loved it. That's why I venture to think it's just that he wanted to give Tampa Bay their kind of curtain call with him because they weren't. Because he didn't do a retirement tour. We're so used to these retirement tours where guys announce pre-season like, "Hey, this is it." So then we get to celebrate them. So
I have a buddy at work ticked off that Tom Brady didn't do a retirement tour.
So I think it's more of a tip of the cap to Tampa Bay. Hey, I know you guys didn't know this was it. You guys didn't really get to cherish that. It wasn't like, hey, this is Tom Brady's last home game. Let's really hold on tight and never let go. But it's one thing to kind of give Tampa a tip of the cap. It's another to be like, hey, thanks for a great career. And then it's crickets.
Yeah. I think I don't even think he needed a whole Instagram post he didn't even need a couple of paragraphs. He just wanted to say, I think at the end of the Instagram post, all he had to say was, and to the fans in New England and my New England family, don't worry, you'll be hearing from me soon or something like that. All he had to say was even that, mention them in one sentence.
Even it could have been at the end or even in the beginning. Like, I started my career in New England. I'm forever grateful, blah, blah, blah. But I moved on to Tampa Bay, and then he could just continue the post. Anything like that.
To not mention them once.
Yeah, that's what surprised me the most was, again, it's one thing to encapsulate your final destination. It's another to leave out 7/8 of your book. It's that's what really threw me for a loop was I'm reading this thing like, all right, I didn't mention this at the beginning or the middle, nothing at the end. I'm like, all right, I'm like, he just kind of froze us out.
Yeah, it's. Ooh, sorry, I just saw some breaking news. It's definitely weird. It's definitely weird. That's the word I would use to describe it. It's weird. It doesn't make sense to me. But we'll have to see. Do you think they're gonna do like the sign in one day and retire a Patriot?
I think if he was gonna do it, he would have done it already. There's every chance he could do it as the next season starts, but I think if he was gonna kind of like do the hey, I'm retiring as a Patriot, he would have already done it. So maybe that's what the stepping away is. Hey, I'm stepping away, and then when the next season starts, he's like, all right, one day with New England, I'm officially retired. That's it. But I'm not gonna waste time or energy hoping for that. Again, he's gonna be back at some point to get his jersey retired. He's gonna get put into the Ring of Honor or whatever it's called. He's gonna be back. It's not something we're gonna start losing sleep over.
Yeah. I don't know. What would be your ideal way to tap, like, right now from here on out, for the Patriots to do? What would be your ideal bookend to his career? Like, would it be the retirement? Would it be, you've kind of already mentioned a couple things with the retires jersey and stuff like that. What would be your ultimate, this
I
is how
think
I want to see his career end?
I think it's jersey retirement, have him, you know, honorary captain, flip the coin at the start of the game, honor him throughout the game, jersey at halftime, drop his, if they want to put up a banner for him, they can put up a banner for him. Really just have like a day, like make it his day, like jersey retirement. We're gonna put your name up there, we're gonna put your number up there, your jersey, they could put up a goddamn banner with all of his accomplishments on there. They could do whatever they really want. I do think there is some sort of storybook ending where he comes back to Gillette, he has his day, he gets his final curtain call with the Gillette fans. And if he never comes back, that's fine because he gets that. It'll be that one day. I could see it almost being like a Drew Bledsoe type thing where he just pops in and out.
Yeah. I think, of course, I'd like to see him retire a Patriot. I would love for them to do the one day with him. That's where he started his career here. He deserves to end, not deserve, he deserves to do whatever he wants, but he should end his career here in New England. Whether that or not that happens, it doesn't really matter. It's like the Paul Pierce when he signed the one day. It was nice to see him retire a Patriot. I think you're right. I would like to see his number retired and have that banner right below all the championship banners. I think that would be a nice, because without him, there is none of those banners hanging up there. So I think he deserves to have it up there. Like you said, I don't know how involved he's going to be with New England. He seemed like he wanted to be involved with New England post career when he came back here at the beginning of this season. And whether that's in, being involved in the front office, being involved with the Kraft family. He does have, his business here in Patriots Place. Maybe he'll keep an eye out in New England. I don't really have no idea. This doesn't help my feelings. Like, I feel like the way he's retired doesn't help my idea of him being involved with the Patriots post retirement. But I think you're right. There's going to be a Tom Brady day. He's gonna do all this stuff. He's gonna get inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame earlier than anyone. He probably will be inducted next year. They'll probably just waive the couple year waiting and say, yeah, we're gonna put Tom in the Hall of Fame and honor him by himself one game this season, whether it be opening day or a couple of games into the season, and that's gonna be it. I agree. I don't know if it's gonna. There'll be a Tom Brady day, so I'm not too worried about it. I just think it was weird. I think his whole end of his retirement was strange.
Agreed.
Let's move to the NBA. Celtics are on a little bit of a heater right now, Danny Football, which don't buy into it. I won't believe it until the end of the season. They've won 5 in a row. Since we made our predictions, they're 14-7, which means I'm out of my prediction. You still have a shot, but I really hope you're wrong because you guessed 14-12. So they would have to lose the next 5 games. I mean, are we starting to believe in this team, first of all? Or are we still right there where we're like, I'm not buying into it yet. I think there's still a lot of holes in this team.
No, we've had this conversation a couple times this season. I feel like every time we kind of bring up, hey, they're looking pretty good, they immediately start crashing back down. I will say this is definitely the most promising stretch they've had all season. Stringing together a lot of good wins. Jaylen Brown starting to really start putting it all together. He's playing out of his mind. Jason Tatum is going to be an all-star starter now. He's really picked it up. Rob Williams has really picked it up this season, man. Like I tell everyone I'm a Rob Williams guy, but Rob Williams is the guy right now. Like, you want to talk about a three-piece cornerstone, it's Tatum, Brown, Rob Williams. Smart. A lot of pressure is off him now that everyone's healthy. Things are clicking. They're playing defense, man. They have the highest net rating on defense in the last couple of weeks. They're bought in. They're playing their defense. They're scoring on offense. They're holding fourth quarter leads. It's so unfortunate that this wasn't the case all season, because if they were playing like this the entire season, this would be such a fun team to watch. I'm still cautious. I don't want to jump all the way onto the bandwagon and they get my heart broken like I do every season, but I'm at least glad that, all things considered, it's looking like they're going to get to the All-Star break with a positive trajectory. Whatever happens in the All-Star game and the All-Star contests, slam dunk 3-point, I'm not worried about that. You get your break, get to have fun, see all your buddies, play basketball with all your buddies during the All-Star game and the All-Star break, hang out. And from there, man, it's a couple weeks, and that's how you're going to define your season. All right, great. You finished with, let's say they go 3-2 in the next 5. So you won 17 coming into the All-Star break. Keep it going. There's no point. There's no reason you shouldn't keep that momentum going. So they're in a good spot. They could be in an even better one a couple weeks after the All-Star break. That's all I really hope for, is just keep this going, man. Do not let this slip.
Yeah. And I mean, looking at the next few games, they do have a couple of tough ones. They play the Nets, but the Nets have been
are in a free fall, man.
This is something I did not see coming. I thought the Nets were going to kind of eventually just hold on to that 1 seed and coast to the end. This team, you want to talk about a team more in trouble than the Celtics. The Nets are in trouble.
Dude, we talked about this when they got Kyrie. Sooner or later, this team was going to crumble, and they're crumbling, man. This is not looking good.
And we said it. We said, give it a season. And after one season, after 1 season of him playing, they are gonna crumble. And what happened? Where they made it a season and maybe a quarter, and now they're falling. So they're talking about blowing up James Harden, getting James Harden out of town. Kyrie Irving, we all know his story. And now Kevin Durant is stuck with an opt-out coming up after this year or next year, something like that. So the Nets are in trouble.
I can't. For all the Nets fans that were screaming from the rooftops that they won the 2014 trade because they had KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, man, if this team breaks up without a single championship, that's going to be pretty goddamn sad, because they're going to go back to the drawing board. And I hate to tell you, man, but you're not getting 3 players like Harden, Kyrie, and Durant on your team ever again. That is once in a lifetime collection of talent. And if the Nets fumble that bag, I'm not saying I'm going to be celebrating, but I'm going to be feeling pretty good about myself.
So the Nets are in 7th place. We're in 8th in the conference. But it's like we're all, us, the Raptors and Nets are all 4.5 out of first place.
Right. It is. There's a game separating 6 through 8. Not a game. Everyone is tied 6 through 8.
6 through 8. And then, it's a game and a half separating 1 through 5. So the East is so close.
Right.
But you win this game, you move up. You can further put the nail in the coffin into the Nets coffin, make it 9 in a row losses for them, make it 8 wins for you. Then you get a tough game against an MVP and the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic. They're a very good team. The Hawks, a good young team. The last time you played them, you lost 108 to 92, which you blew that game. I remember that game pretty well. And then you play the 76ers. They're a hot mess. Pistons, that's a team you got to win. And then you're in the All-Star break. So, like you said, if they can finish at least 3-2, I think my other prediction is good, where they could probably finish in the 7-6 range in the standings. You get a nice little break, and then it's game on. A lot of this depends on who they bring in. Dennis Schroeder is a great player for this team. He does do a lot, and he helps this team a lot. But I understand the writing's on the wall. You got to move him. You got to move him to get someone for him. And I heard a report today. Brad's not just going to move him just to get him out of here. He needs the right price. But our good friend Jack Moran said on Twitter, and I completely agree because we heard the Bulls and the Bucks are interested in Kobe White is that price. I think you're gonna have to sweeten the pot a little bit instead of like a half a year rental of Dennis Schroeder. But I think Schroeder to the Bulls makes a lot of sense. The Bulls are trying to, they've traded their way and signed their way into a second seed, a half a game out of first. They get a lot of great pieces. They get some veteran pieces. They get young stars in the league. And Billy Donovan had great success with Dennis Schroeder when he was in OKC. So I think that makes a lot of sense sending him to the Bulls. You just got to get the right compensation, man. And if it means you send like a second round draft pick in Dennis Schroeder or a young player in Dennis Schroeder for Kobe White, sign me up. I'm all on board. Thank you, Dennis Schroeder, for the help. But let's ride with a young Kobe White on this team to go with, give us our point guard of the future and give us someone to pair with Tatum and Brown to grow together. Trying to see how many years Kobe has on his contract. Do you have anyone that you have in mind that you'd like to see the Celtics get at the deadline, or anyone you'd like to see them move by the deadline?
I'd like to see a Schroeder move just because I don't know if his stock will ever be higher. I'd like to see them move guys that you can get the most bang for your buck back for. I don't have a specific name in mind. I would like to get another point guard, add a little bit of depth on the bench, get a scorer, get another defensive hand, anything to kind of keep this ship going, whether it's getting a hard-nosed defender to keep the defense going, getting a scorer to make sure we can win against the 76ers or the Bucks in a shootout. Just add depth, man. I'm not looking for like a James Harden type move or a Ben Simmons type move where it's like, all right, we're going to sell out and get this superstar and this is how we're going to do it. No, we don't need that. We just need depth. We just need guys around Tatum, Brown, and Rob that can get this done, man. Like this is a good team when they're playing good basketball. We don't need anything crazy right now. We just need this team to work.
Just so you know, I totally agree with what you said, but just so you know, Kobe White, 21 years old, he's making $5 million, five and some change. He's eligible for the rookie extension after this year, and he has, I think, 2 years of control, and then 2 years of extension, the rookie extension. And then the third year is a restricted free agent. So you have 3 years of control of this guy. And that's why I think he's perfect, because you're not just getting a Dennis Schroeder type guy who's only going to be here for a couple of years, for the rest, not a couple of years, for the rest of the season. He's going to be here for a couple of seasons. So I think that is so valuable. Sign me up for him. I think you're right. They don't need the Bradley Beal trade isn't going to happen.
No.
The Ben Simmons trade isn't going to happen. A James Harden trade isn't going to happen. And to be honest with you, don't really want that to happen.
No. I do think White fits the profile of a young piece that can help this team win, but you don't necessarily need to sell out doing it.
Right.
Bradley Beal, that could be an off-season signing. Any sort of big name can be an off-season trade or an off-season signing. We don't need to blow up the team right now to do it. This team isn't in a free fall. If this team was in a free fall, then I'd be like, all right, something has to change. Let's do this. Let's do that. They're trending upwards. Just help this team as it is right now. If it's White, it's White. If it's not, it's not. But give them some sort of help, like we mentioned with the Red Sox when they came up there on their trade deadline. We don't need anything crazy, but we need something here to keep this going. I just hope that Brad doesn't sit on his hands and hopes that what he has right now can do it, because it can't.
Agreed. And I like you said, the young core of Brown, Tatum, and Rob. You add Kobe White in there, and then you can throw, whether it's Al Horford or Marcus Smart in that starting lineup. I think, take your pick of who's out of that. Enes Kanter, Josh Richardson, Grant Williams, Romeo. Like, I think that is a good second unit. And I think they can add another piece either with the roster cut down, the roster buyouts and stuff like that. I think they could add maybe another veteran piece in there too. The other thing you got to watch out for is they've got to get under the cap. I think they're a couple $1 million away. I think that should be a goal too, whether that's getting rid of, they don't use Naismith anyway. Might as well trade to get some value for him. I'd like to see them hold on to Josh Richardson, but if they have to trade him away, maybe, you got to do what you got to do. But I'd like to see them get under that cap hit, that luxury cap. So anyway, they can do it, but you're right. They have to do some moves. They can't just sit on their hand. Brad can't sit on his hands and say, let's run it. Do what Danny did for so many years. But we'll have to see. It's the championships are usually won at the deadline. Who's going to win whether your team makes a move or not, whether you make the right moves like that I think championships are won at the deadline, and we'll have to see how that goes, because Celtics are in a very close spot right now where they can make a right move and make them help them make it far in the playoffs. And I don't think they're going to be a contender, but they can make it far and sell Bradley Beal to come to Boston. I think that's all that matters in this season. Well, let's move on to our final segment of the night, the People's Topic.
It's the People's Topic, baby! People's Topic.
For People's Topic, you can write in our Instagram and Twitter page at Big Red Zone. Leave us a comment. Follow us. Today, let's go with Cameron. Says, the farce that is the Pro Bowl. What should the NFL do instead? LOL. We both hate the Pro Bowl, so we're right with you.
I mean, you'd almost be better off just doing a 7-on-7 flag football game at this point.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing like a all-star thing, or I just think the Pro Bowl is a waste of time. I think all the all-star games, to be honest with you, are a waste of time, and it's two-hand touch, which is like kind of, it's stupid anyway.
Did they announce they were doing that, or did they just kind of do it?
I didn't hear they were doing it.
I just saw the tweet that, they were stopping plays after the guys were getting touched. I'm like, did they ever say they were doing this? Or is this kind of like, hey, we all just agreed we're not doing this, right?
Yeah.
Long way away from Sean Taylor lighting people up, man.
Yeah.
Long way away from Sean Taylor just lighting people up in the Pro Bowl. At this point, turn it into some sort of charity game. This thing doesn't need to be the quote unquote spectacle that it is. It doesn't need to be an actual game at this point. It's a parody of itself. Do the contests, do a cool like flag touch football game, and just call it a day.
Yeah. They should add a kicking competition into it too.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like see who can kick just put it start it on like the 35, just move back 5 yards or 10 yards, whatever it is, and see who stands, and then you try to kick, you get points for every kick you make. You do rounds to see a tier system. You could do a money ball, which the money field goal kicks over a certain amount. Like each person, if each kicker kicks a ball over 50 yards, that's like a $5,000 of charity or something like that. They could do stuff like that. I think that would be an interesting thing. And like you said, I think they're going to make their money in the skills competitions doing them for charity, because the football games it's a waste of time. Eric says, what's up with Juana Smith not doing anything this year? Laughing, crying.
That's
emoji.
more on McDaniels just not utilizing the tight ends.
I agree.
That has nothing to do with him.
I think he is a talent. I think he is, and I hope the next OC really uses those two guys more effectively, because Juana Smith is a baller. I think he could be really good for the one of those already have that we don't have to go get. Just got to use them. So we'll have to see how he does. Paige says, you have a bad back, question mark. This one comes from Paige. The only thing I have, if it isn't too late, it's never too late for you. Is the only thing that I have that isn't too late is that I don't want Schroeder to get traded.
Wow.
I mean,
he's a good piece. I just would rather sell high on him. If teams are calling the Celtics saying we want him, you got to field that call, man.
Yeah, especially because he's going to leave next year. He's not a guy that's going to stick around next year. So
no.
I'd rather get someone like Kobe White that you have for the next couple of years that probably can do he may be at least starting a little bit below what Dennis Schroeder's doing. But
I'd rather have the control.
100% agree. Let's move to Instagram. I think this is going to be the last one. It is. This one comes from our king, Joseph _ Celia. For the host of Big Red Zone. It's always us. He says, who are some athletes / retired athletes that you've met?
Brian Scalabrine comes to mind.
Oh, yeah.
You met Perk, I know that.
Met Perk. I met a lot of Celtics guys. A lot of baseball guys, too. I worked at Pawtucket, so I met a lot of
I met Richie Gedman.
I met Rich. I met the Rocket, who got screwed. Roger Clemens, he was nice. I met Bo Bichette, Dahlback. What's his name? Our favorite pitcher.
I met Danny Etling. That was crazy.
Your man, your king, Danny Etling.
My dude, Danny Etling.
Some of the cooler ones that comes to mind for me is Cornbread, Cedric Maxwell. I met David Ortiz, Papelbon, Petey, Jason Varitek, Paul Pierce. I met Gordon Hayward in an airport.
That's right. There you go.
Chased him down and said, let's get a pic. He took a flight home. I almost offered the guy next to him anything to be able to share the flight.
Huh.
Dennis Oil Can Boyd comes to mind.
Oh my God, dude.
A living legend. R.I.P. Jerry Remy. I think we all have to say Jerry Remy. Did you get a chance to meet him?
No, I never
Sox
met Jerry
games?
Remy.
Really?
No.
I bet he was doing his pregame show, and he would come down every so often on Yaki Way when he would do the pregame show outside. I met him a couple times out front. Yeah. I met some cool people, some cool athletes, and most of it from working in sports. Hey, I met Jonathan Kraft. We'll tie it all the way out.
There you go.
Jonathan Kraft. Didn't know it was Jonathan Kraft. I had a full-out conversation, and then found out it was him after. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, on the airwaves, we've met Dennis Clifford. We've met some cool guests. Some of the guests that have been on the show too for athletes. So the one and only David Griffin. We've met David Griffin, future Cy Young winner, David Griffin. But good question. That's a fun one. I haven't. Makes you think back to some of the people you met, and I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of good people. Danny Etling's definitely my favorite of yours.
I did like getting to meet Danny Etling, but Scal was easily number one.
Scal was one of the nicest people
easily
too.
Number one.
I met him before a Celtics game. He was there. I was like, "Can I get a picture?" And I was younger. And he said, "Give me 1 second," because he was getting ready to do his pregame show. And he said, "Give me 1 second. I'll be right back." And when someone says that, you kind of think they're just saying, "Yeah, I'm leaving." But he made a point to come back to me and take a picture. And
he came to Lowell my senior year for our homecoming week, and he was taking pictures of everyone, and I just it's fucking Brian Scalabrine. What am I not gonna? He's a fucking god to the redhead community. So I was like, I try not to get starstruck, but I go up to him. I'm like, dude, I can't not get a picture with you. And he goes, oh yeah, dude, Ginger's rule. We got to stick together. I'm like, all right, dude. And he fucking took the picture. So he was cool.
He's a man. But great questions to the people's topic. Remember, you can write it on an Instagram and Twitter page after the Red Zone. Give us a follow and give us a question every week. We do it every week. Make sure you follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. You can subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button on this video as well as our other videos, and tell a friend. I'm gonna go ice up, Danny Football. I'm gonna go ice up and pop. Take a few Motrin and
Battle through it.
Yeah, not feeling too good right now, but I do it for you guys. Do it for you. Do it for the fans. As always, thank you, Danny Football, for joining, and have a great week, everyone.